what actually happens on the day of December 21st, 2012, and what did you find?
Well, I found that there's a very rare alignment that's happening there, and the Maya were tuned into this alignment. And it's an astronomical fact that for many thousands of years, the December solstice sun, which the Maya called First Father, the first solar lord, has been slowly moving through the stars, through the constellations. And as we've been getting closer and closer to 2012, it's coming into union with the bright band of the Milky Way galaxy. And specifically, that part of our Milky Way galaxy that contains the galactic center, the center of our Milky Way, it's right between Sagittarius and Scorpio. So in the years around 2012, the first solar lord is lining up with the galactic center, and the galactic center, the Maya thought of as the cosmic womb of the Great Mother, the cosmic heart and source of the universe. So it's the union of cosmic mother and cosmic father, and that's what's culminating in the years around 2012.
If you look at the zodiac and the four corners of the zodiac, there's something very interesting about its configuration in heavens. This is the Milky Way. It crosses two places only on the ecliptic, here and here. And you'll notice that it's right next to the eagle. In fact, it's a very important place because the Milky Way, actually does in fact appear like a serpent. This is its mouth, its eye, and the tail that's going into its mouth. There's it enhanced for you. And I'm still facing the same way here. There's the mouth and the tail going into the mouth. Here's a close-up of the same thing. And the eagle appears right over its head. This is galactic central point. We're looking at the galaxy that we're in at a very shallow angle, on edge. And this is where the center of the galaxy is.
The Mayans wrote about, described, and carved Neptune in their understanding of the universe, and Pluto, and Charon, and Xena. 2600 BC, they knew this. They wrote it down, carved it in stone. Well, we didn't discover Neptune until 1843. We didn't discover Pluto until 1931. We didn't discover Charon until 2001, and we didn't discover Xena until 2003. Explain that to me.
Why was it that the Maya, for instance, were so fixated on the center of the Milky Way? How did they even know that the Milky Way galaxy was A, a galaxy, and B, it had a center? If you look at the Milky Way arching across the night sky, it is not readily apparent to the untrained eye that it has a center. It looks like a band of milky light circling the heavens, alternately tipped in one direction and another as the seasons unfold. The Maya knew it had a center.
This is the original zodiac calendar from this temple wall. This is where the original patterns of the zodiac come from. This calendar, this Egyptian calendar, began nearly 39,000 years ago. Now, 39,000 years ago, this calendar was developed, and it ends now, in these days. The Mayan calendar, by some estimates over 18,000 years old, points to now, to this time in history. Jose Arguelles, in his book, The Mayan Factor, suspected that Mayan calendar measures something much more than time, in addition to the passing of linear time. What the Mayan calendar says is that time, as you and I have always known it, actually ended in July of 1992. And between July of 1992 and December of the year 2012, you and I are experiencing the interface, a transition point between two kinds of time as they are defined by the light received upon the Earth, tying back to the photon belt. During that time, the Mayans were so specific about this period in time that they even had a name for this time. They called it no time. And they said those who would live this interface period between the time that's always been and the time that is yet to be, those who would live this time would be living the time of no time. And it would take a very, very powerful being, a very special being, a being capable of remembering and focusing and holding the focus of the nature and the intent of their life purpose to live during this transition time.
The consciousness field itself is humanity. We are like cells in a body. We are part of a group mind. And what thoughts go through our mind affect other people's mind.
Because in terms of the influence, celestial influences that we now can discuss rationally in terms of the hyperdimensional model, in terms of those influences which influence not only our individual lives, but our collective lives as a people on this planet, it turns out that our geometric relationship to the center of the Milky Way galaxy is of overwhelming importance.
And the way that astronomers measure this is with the equinox point. So the position of the sun on the equinox in relation to background features like the stars is constantly shifting, and that's why we're approaching the age of Aquarius, is because the equinox is shifting into a new sign in the zodiac. Well, the Maya were tuned into this process, and a full cycle is 26,000 years. So, you know, astronomers recognize this, and they have their ways of calculating it, but what does it mean? What does it mean for human beings on Earth? The alignment in question is like the supreme transformative moment for human history. And it's the supreme moment of opportunity for human beings to come back into union with our higher divine selves.
Think about it. Where are you going to go if that's true? Whatever you think right now about who you are and where you came from, and that's true, then who are you and where'd you come from? And do you believe the history that you've been told? Ain't going to happen, kids. The changing face of time. 2 hours from Houston and an hour and a half bus ride. And you will forget whatever you think you were told about how superior this civilization is, equal to any other civilization that came before this one. That's over. Done. The Mayans give us, in the Western world, the greatest opportunity to see the changing face in time because they were obsessed with it. Because in time, the Mayans created calendars that were so accurate that they rival any calendar, and they're more precise than any calendar that we've created in our entire history. The Mayans invented the zero. The zero. Western consciousness didn't discover the zero for another 1,000 years. And the Mayans invented the zero because they needed to calculate the precession of planets as they moved so that they could build buildings that would be celebrations of events 800 to 1,000 years into the future. You know when we learned how to do that? Sometime in the 70s. And we had calculators and computers and telescopes. They didn't have any of that, so it's said.